Welcome back, players. I'm Jack with 3-6 Cancel, and this is Coco the Weiss Cat. And I'd like to ask all of you to join me in another 4-part series that 3-6 Cancel has been working on for a while. This, players, is our Titan Rondo. Welcome to 3-6 Cancel's Attack on Titan Weiss Schwarz Rondo. Titan is a big enough and popular enough English expansion that we'd really like to show more of its aspects than just one deck. So in this series, we'll be taking Titan one deck and one color at a time, with the exception of the widely recognized core meta build red and yellow deck. And we'll follow each video with a full game. The decks we'll be looking at here are the Titan decks that I've put together to capture the 4 styles of Attack on Titan in English Weiss. There's the meta core build and Blue Titan, the more famous builds, but there's also mono green and mono yellow builds that are interesting to play. In this series, we'll have a look at those in detail, and we'll showcase them in games. But for now, let's get started. So I think the best place to get started with our Titan Rondo would be none other than, you guessed it, Titans. Characters with the Titan trait in AOT are overwhelmingly blue, and even if they're not, they're designed to work inside their own colors. Blue stands outside the other 3 colors in AOT because it's supposed to represent a completely different side of the set. It's very similar to what blue is with Gurren Lagann, where it represents the anti-spiral. So in 9 out of 10 cases, when you're talking about a deck of actual Titans, you're building Monoblue. And Monoblue Titan is an infamous deck within English Weiss Schwarz because it's truly unique among strategies. The cards in it play radically different than most others, so playing against it will leave quite an impression. And because of that, Monoblue Titan is a very easy deck tech. Real talk, there's a lot less that I have to do in the preparation stage to spotlight this deck because of how different it is. But that doesn't make it any less interesting. On the contrary, you might find that this is one of the most interesting Weiss decks you'll ever see. Something to mention is that with these 2 sets of Attack on Titan out, the deck is now pretty different. The beautiful thing about Attack on Titan Set 2 was that it added tools for just about any deck you were playing, no matter the color. And they were good ones, so this is technically the 2nd generation of Monoblue Titan. And don't get me wrong, the 1st generation was violent too. It placed in many regionals, like this build did here. But things have changed since then. And here it is. So the first thing you'll notice about this deck is, unlike a lot of other decks, this deck plays 4 events. I'm just kidding, guys. The first thing you'll notice is this. Something looks off about this level 0 game, right? For starters, there are only 4 cards. And it looks slightly illegal. Well, that's because, as we know from our tutorial series, you can only run 4 copies of one card in any given deck. That is, unless your name is Predation Titan, and if it is, you can appear in any deck as many times as you want. In fact, you could just run a deck of 42 Predation Titans and 8 Climaxes. Not that anyone would be that much of a madman, I mean, come on. So, obviously, that comes with the upside of simplicity and consistency. But why would you want to run so many of this card? Well, Predation Titans get better the more of them you have. They get plus 2,000 power for each other Predation Titan on your center stage. So if you have 3 of them here, they're 5,000 power a pop. So climbing over this wall of Titans will be nigh impossible for 90% of level 0s. It doesn't matter where you run if all your opponents are 5k. Well, Jack, what about level 0 reversers? Well, yeah, of course they work, but it still doesn't get rid of the Titans until the Encore step. So the only way to cut these behemoths down to size is to clock switch or stock bomb them. And since cards that do that are far less common, these Predation Titans will probably stick around. And even if they don't, there's always more. So Predation Titans make up a majority of the level 0 for a good reason, and they're not just there for their power and convenience. As you'll see, they're an integral part to how the deck runs. And on that note, I'd like to move on to the latest in Predation Titan technology, this Beast Titan Brainstormer. I don't think there's another Brainstormer in Weiss Schwarz quite like this one, so look at it carefully. Tap 2, pay 1, Brainstorm. For every climax you hit, you can salvage 2 cards named Predation Titan. And no, there's no discarding involved. In this deck, that basically means that every climax you hit is plus 2 cards. Now, granted, you can't search or choose other targets, but this Beast Titan ensures that you never ever run out of Predation Titans. And as you'll see later, not being able to search is a small price to pay considering how many other options you have for getting what you need. And the deck itself is 1/4 Predation Titans, so don't worry about not finding enough targets. If you hit 2 climaxes, enjoy your plus 4. But we're not done. This Brainstormer has a second ability. At the beginning of your climax phase, you can discard a card called Predation Titan. If you do, you can put any level 1 or lower character in your opponent's center stage on the bottom of their deck. And there's nothing they can do about it. No encoring, no bouncing, no backing up, no nothing. This happens before the attack phase even begins, so it's practically unreactable. And since it's level 1 with no restrictions on cost, this is a solution to get rid of practically anything. Even big 1/1s with scary abilities can't stand up to it, and changers and bouncers can't avoid it. You can end up with disgusting plays like having 2 of these in the back row, brainstorming, salvaging 2 Predation Titans, and then discarding them to utterly decimate your opponent's field. You can expect no less from the second generation of Blue Titan. This is the tech we were talking about earlier. But before I go into full-on jerk mode about this Brainstormer, let's focus on some older but tried and true cards. Like this Tutor Titan. Beautiful and simple, 1k to center, and pay 2 to tap and search on a stick. It makes for a consistent way to get what you need, while also being a stellar back row character. It's streamlined cards like this that make Monoblue Titans so scary. Most of the back rows that add 1k power to the center have a limit that it's only for 1 turn, and not for the other, but Towering Threat Titan has no such downsides. And it's even better, because as you'll see soon, Monoblue Titan is a one-track minded deck, and its targets are pretty specific. So paying 2 stock isn't something you'll be too bent out of shape about, because you probably don't need to do it that much. But having it as a stopgap on a body adds to the consistency that makes Blue Titan run smoothly. And to close out the level 0, we have another piece of new technology. In place of this milling Sawney that used to be a popular choice to round out the level 0, when Set 2 came out, this Nemesis Titan took the stage. Remember Ka-Class Submarine from our Abyssals Tech video? Well, the link to that video is here if you want it. But regardless, that's what we're looking at. A 2k body that puts any cost 0 that's alone on your opponent's center stage on the bottom of their deck. I already went into why this is so good extensively in that other video, so I don't think it bears repeating here. The only thing I want to reiterate from that is that no matter if the opponent is a runner, a loner, or a change target, Nemesis Titan makes it go away. Now, it is worth mentioning that some builds still use Sawney, but it's a cool comparison between old and new technology. And that caps out our level 0. We have 2 primary front row characters and 2 primary back row characters. I think this is a perfect example of how cards can be good in Weiss Schwarz for very different reasons. While there are no techie runners or level boosted loners, Predation Titan is truly unique as your primary beater. And Strength Assessment Beast Titan, while he can't tutor search, is a brainstormer that goes far beyond the Call of Duty. It's not fun to play against at all, and it feels like unlimited power in your hands. I'm feeling generous here, and not like splitting hairs. I give it an S for having a truly unique style of power and potential that's really hard to fight. So now we move on to level 1. Wait, what? 1 character? And it's Predation Titan? Wait. Yep, you're not seeing double. This card is also called Predation Titan. Just when you thought your Brainstormer couldn't get any better, he grabs your level 1 game too. The level 1 version of Predation Titan, which printed in Set 2, replaced this Invasion Titan, and it works exactly how you think it does. It starts at 4500 and gets a 1k boost for every other Predation Titan in your center stage. So it's a 1065, and it does in fact boost your level 0 Predation Titans. Before, these Invasion Titans replaced your level 0 Predation Titans when they came out, since they were level 1s that were boosted by Titan characters. But thanks to new developments in Titan technology, your Predation Titans will go a lot further. Now both your level 1 and level 0 game work seamlessly together to create a stitchless blend from level 0 to 1. So while your characters probably aren't going to be reversing much, it really doesn't matter since it's fine to field any card in the front row so long as it's called Predation Titan. Between your Tutor and Brainstormer, these guys will just keep coming. And just in case that wasn't enough for anyone concerned about the consistency or options, allow me to introduce you to the 4 of level 1 event for Blue Titan, Forest of Giant Trees. Combined with 6 Predation Titans, this makes only 10 level 1 cards in the whole deck, which means that this level 1 is literally comprised of 2/5 events. So let me tell you why. Without paying a stock, you can play this card and search your deck for up to 2 Titan characters, then discard a card and put Forest of Giant Trees into your clock. So a few things here. 1, the event costs nothing. 2, it has no stipulations on what can be discarded, so it can be used as a device to rid yourself of stray climaxes. 3, searching for Titan characters means searching for every character in your deck. And 4, without costing yourself anything on command, you can use this card to level up. Oh, and it's a double tutor. Hear that? A double tutor. This card basically reads, take this card and another card in your hand and turn them into exactly what you need at the moment. Do I need to keep talking? I don't think I do, so I'll wrap up the level 1 game. It has an impressive total of 6 characters, and they're Predation Titans. While the merit of being Predation Titans in this deck is high, as a standalone thing at level 1, it's not incredibly impressive. But that's not the case for Forest of Giant Trees. This event is easily one of the best in English Weiss. There's just no end to its usefulness. This level 1 is very difficult to rank, as in Blue Titan, unlike most other decks, level 1 isn't where the deck goes off. It's a prep stage for slamming damage and tutoring key target. The deck has no climax combos at level 0 or 1, so if what you expect from level 1 isn't too high, do you rank it in context of that, or do you rank it next to other cards in vacuums? I think it's a fair compromise to give it a B-, since a vanilla 6/5 on its own wouldn't get a rank nearly that high if it was your only character. Forest of Giant Trees drags that up a lot due to how good it is, but Predation Titan also drags Forest of Giant Trees down. So the only thing I'll say in conclusion for the level 1 is that rank really doesn't matter here. You're not really supposed to compare Predation Titans to cards like Zeka and Yuki, because they don't serve the same purpose. I only did it as a formality, and as a way of making sure that it's clear that while you can tutor, you can't lay down any unique level 1 answers to threats that are good on their own. So remember when I said this deck had no climax combos at level 1 or level 0? Well, it doesn't have 2 at level 3. And it does indeed have 2 combos, which means as we transition to the next level, we're going to cross over a rare sight. An English Weiss Schwarz deck running a climax combo at level 2. And when we look at things here, we have a hand and a butt. Well, something seems to be missing. Especially since the first line of text on each of these characters reads, if you do not have a card called Enormous Stature Colossal Titan, this card cannot attack. Enormous Stature Colossal Titan? What's that? Well, you see, we haven't seen this card yet because we haven't gotten to the level 3 game yet. This is the card that these other 2 are referencing, so they can't attack unless you play this level 3? Well, that's true, and it would be really inconvenient and kind of bad if that card's very first line of text didn't say, if you have a card called Broken Wall Colossal Titan and a card called Threat to Humanity Colossal Titan, this card gets -1 level in your hand. So you can put 2 and 2 together here, players. What we're looking at is a 3-card early play combo. The idea is that you play the hand and the butt and then the head. And of course, the point is to create an image of the Colossal Titan on the game board. Minus the butt, which was kind of a strange choice. But with the hand and the head, you really get a cool picture. So let's take a closer look at how this works. Because not only is this a 3-card early play combo, but they're all linked to the same climax combo. So let's go left to right. Starting with the character that would be on the left-hand side of your field, you have Threat to Humanity Colossal Titan. Like we said before, without the head, it can't attack. And if it's on the left side of your field where it matches the picture, it gives the head and the butt plus 1000 power. Now, speaking of power, this is a 2/1 9500 base attacker. That's massive enough to really fit the Colossal Titan moniker. But remember, without the head, it can't attack. And it comes with one more downside. If the head goes to the waiting room while it's on the stage, the hand goes with it. And by the way, the exact same downsides exist on the butt. So if you kill the head, the body dies. Not only does this make sense, but within the context of the game, it's super flavorful. And Attack on Titan is a super flavorful set in general. Now, let's cover the important part, which is its role in the climax combo. When the hand attacks with Andinate 50 in the climax zone, you can discard a card to give all your Titan characters plus 3500 until the end of turn. Considering you don't have to pay a stock, that's a pretty big boost for a lot of characters. It can make the hand and the butt a cool 14,000 power. And the head? That's 15,500 without the climax boost. And speaking of the butt, it's about time to move there. It's the same thing as the hand, but on the right side of the stage, and it gives its power bonuses, which are the same as the hand, based on that. The only difference is that when you attack with a butt with and 850 in the climax zone, you draw a card. Short and sweet. It goes to the waiting room with the head, and it can't attack without it. There's not much else to say other than it's the second part of the combo. So let's move on to the big guy. This is enormous stature Colossal Titan. It gets plus 1k each from the hand and the butt, and you need those cards to play it before level 3 anyway. So it comes out as a cool 12k. Besides the climax combo, it has one other ability. On your opponent's turn, if this card is in your center stage and isn't reversed, the head and the butt also can't become reversed. So if you can't beat the head, you can't beat the body, even with abilities. And getting over this head, while being in the center and open for buffs from the back row anyway, is no easy task. Especially not with the climax combo, and the head is the primary part of that and an 850 combo. At the beginning of your encore step, you put the climax from your zone into the waiting room. When you do, you get to take the top card of your clock and return it to your hand. And then the head gets plus 3000 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. So it's a heal that gets around anti-heal, and adds a card to your hand to boot. And the head gets massive through the next turn, so reversing it in order to reverse the other two parts is nigh impossible for a lot of decks, especially at level 2. Combined with the buffs from the back and the hand and the butt, you're looking at 11 5s on each side of a 15,000 body, without any back row buffs at all. And while they can't be reversed, they sure can reverse your opponent. This front row will pretty much wipe out any opposing field. Truly devastating to face. So let's back up and take a look at the whole thing. You hit level 2, then you play the hand and the butt. Then the head gets early play and you put it out. So you play the climax, attack in whatever order you want. You draw a card from the butt, you can discard a card for power with the hand, and after you're done, you take the top card of your clock, put it in your hand, and the head gets huge. All in all, that's a pretty cool combo. And more than that, it's one of the hardest front lines in the game to fight off. Not only does everything get huge, it can't be reversed without climbing over a 15k wall. Except for one thing, which is the bane of the Colossal Titan's existence. If Aaron Yeager had known about this hot tech, AOT would have been over in the first episode. Anti-change. Yep, if you anti-change the head, everything else dies. And even if the anti-change card puts the target on the bottom of your deck, the hand and the butt still can't attack without the head. But anti-change isn't the ultimate answer. You can always play around it by side attacking or just understanding the conditions that anti-change requires. But the point is that this all-powerful field isn't without its weaknesses, and reversing the head isn't impossible. There are some decks that can get to 15k power at level 2, but this is Blue Titan. What you're seeing in front of you is the most famous part of the deck. This combo was seen in Set 1 Titan, and when it first came out, there was nothing quite like it, and to my knowledge, there still isn't. It's a really cool combo that a lot of decks, frankly, aren't equipped to deal with. The whole deck really builds up to this. Your level 1 and level 0 game are pretty much setting up for this by making sure you have one hand, one butt, one head, and one and an 850, and the 4 stock to play it all. Between Tutor Titan, Forest to Giant Trees, and free characters, this isn't really hard. 1 in 20 games or so, things might go horribly wrong that you won't be able to set up the combo, but really, that's every Weiss deck. And this was Blue Titan in its entirety. Some other decks ran older technology that involved the female Titan cards to round out the deck. But again, thanks to Set 2, the Titan doesn't stop there. Now there's something else. But before we get into that, it's time to rank the level 2. And I think there's no question that this is the best level 2 combo in English Weiss. There aren't many of them period, and I think Blue Titan is the only deck that makes its way into tournaments that runs a climax combo at level 2. I give it an S rank. So we've gone over everything else. There's only one other card in the deck. This is Beast Titan. Yep, you're seeing that right. This card reads, when it comes into play, heal. And when it attacks and this blue 1k1 book climax is in your climax zone, you can pay 1 and discard a Predation Titan to deal 4 damage to your opponent. Yep, you're looking at the absolute cutting edge of Titan technology. Last Shot Monkey. This is a level 3 Kior that deals 4 damage with a climax combo on attack. But it has 2 main differences from its muse. 1, it doesn't get any power on a missed ability or go to memory when it's reversed. And 2, activating the ability only costs 1 stock and requires you to discard a Predation Titan specifically. It means that even when you don't have any stock after playing your level 3 field, you can still activate the ability twice. It's not nearly as resource heavy as Xenon, which means that in some ways, it's actually better than one of the best finishers in English Weiss. I could go into detail about how since Sword Art and Titan are radically different sets, and Last Shot Monkey only works in Monoblue Titan, the cards carry very different weights. But instead of that, I'll concede that Beast Titan is the best thing since sliced bread. And minus the head, it's the only level 3, and on top of that, the only other card in the deck. So what's left aside from ranking it? I give it an A+. The only reason it's not S is because it lacks some of the better tools at level 3 to close out with flexibility. It's last shot or nothing, and sometimes that isn't the best thing ever, but still, that's a lot of attacks. And that's Blue Titan 2.0. Look at how unique and cool this deck is, and playing it is super straightforward and fun. There's only one strategy, and it's a pretty good one. Make sure you have enough Predation Titans to attack with, save up for your Titan combo, and then close out with Monkey Titan. All of it is really hard to deal with and super consistent. I can safely say that no other deck quite like this one exists. So we've gone over the strategy and the cards, and we've tasted a good bit of the flavor. So let's give it our final rankings. Starting with consistency, I think this deck has one of the best event tutors in the game, and a character tutor on a stick. But sadly, it lacks some of the variety, like a searching Brainstormer, a pay 1 pitch 1 search, or some form of Akatsuki. That said, it's also a one-track deck, and setting up isn't hard. I give it a straight A. And now on to skill. So here's the thing, Blue Titan is a singular strategy deck, but minus getting lucky on your Brainstormers, it's actually a bit challenging to manage the resources. You don't have search combos or cheap reusable tutors, which means that if you play yourself into a corner where all your targets or climaxes are in your stock or waiting room, you're kind of SOL. And against a lot of decks, you really need to play around to getting your level 2 combo blown out. I think this deck is actually deceptive in its skill. It's easier to mess up than you would think. I give it an A- because I think it's the kind of deck that really shines more when you have your bread and butter basics down to bat. And now on to power. So you know what I'm going to say here. The Colossal Titan combo feels like the power of God in your hands, and then Last Shot Monkey comes in for big damage every time. Plus, your level 0 game is pretty awesome at that. You have big walls and tough answers. The only real gap here is the level 1 game, but it doesn't matter too much as the deck really isn't designed to go off here. Honestly, I think this is one of the highest raw power decks you could pick up. I give it an A+, and not an S only because of the lack of level 1 presence. And that's it. The first part of the 3/6 cancel Titan Rondo is closing out. In conclusion, there's no deck quite like Blue Titan, and the best part is that if you're looking to pick it up, it's not an expensive investment, and the cards are pretty easy to find. It makes it a really cool pickup deck that you can easily add to your arsenal that creates a really fun and different play experience. So give it a shot. We'll be releasing a game featuring Blue Titan as well, so if you're still not convinced, check that out. That's all for now, players. Peace.